Test.
Test 1, 2, 3.
All right, we are live now. Now I hope y'all can hear us right now. If you can hear us and y'all tuning in, I'm not sure. This is kind of last minute, so it's the first time I'm doing this. I'm kind of excited and nervous. I'm gonna put my hair up, everyone. Got too much right now.
Unfortunately, I can't do the same. So
Got too much going on right now. All right. We're just getting situated right now. We're not worried about it. We're just kind of getting situated. Let's just kind of see. Let me go over to LinkedIn, find out if we're live over on LinkedIn. Let's check something else. Yeah, okay, it says we're live. Okay, so anyway, I want to welcome everyone to the first ever Coffee and Beans. And so pretty much what this is, look, I've had the breakfast runs historically, and historically that's been that the primary guests on that are, E&P operators and all that stuff. And I've had a lot of people reach out, trying to see if they can get on and all that stuff, and is there a different format that they can kind of get on and just kind of do something to introduce themselves and kind of introduce what they do. And that's where this kind of came up. So what this is called Coffee and Beans. Obviously, it's 2 in the afternoon. We're not having coffee right now, but what we do have, the point is this. We want to provide some education regarding who you are and your product and all that stuff. And everyone that don't know, this is Brian Smith, the Gulf Coast Business Development Manager for Qi2 Elements. And that's right. We're doing a little plug right now. But pretty much what this is, we're going to be kind of talking about his product, kind of who he is, kind of having one of these kind of off-the-cuff, unscripted conversations. And at the same time, probably about every, 4 to 5 minutes, we're going to be tasting one of these Bamboozled, I don't know if you can see that, the Bamboozled Jelly Beans. And, the point of Bamboozled, for those that don't know what's going on or like, what the hell am I talking about? For example, this green one could taste like a juicy pear, or it could taste like a booger. This blue one could taste like toothpaste or berry blue. I'm not looking for this. This is either liver and onions or cappuccino. Rotten eggs, buttered popcorn. You have a little barf or peach.
Wait, that's this one?
And there's dead fish or strawberry banana smoothie. So, and you never played this before.
No, I guess not. Yeah.
So this is, the whole point of this is like, look, there's a lot of live streams out there. There's a lot of stuff going on right there. And hopefully the education piece of it will be interesting enough to keep you around a little bit, but also us being disgusted out at these disgusting flavors is probably gonna be another little piece that might keep y'all around. So if anybody's tuning in right now, why don't you go and say hi? If not, we're going to get this kicked off. And if you have any questions or want to be a guest on Coffee and Beans, reach out to me, JP at connectioncrew.com, and I guess we'll talk and go from there. But so, Brian, let's get this kicked off with our first jelly bean. Okay. I am taking a blue one.
I'm going to take a red one.
All right, so I don't know what red is, but good luck. All right, cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Okay, I think I've got regular. Yeah, I got regular berry.
I did too. Yeah.
Okay.
It tasted like, I guess, strawberry or.
It's the way to start off.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So I think probably every 5 minutes we'll probably do something like that. Depending on how long this is go. I got a little thing going on here, but it's not about me today. It's about you. It's about you today. So, Brian, kick us off, man. Tell me a little about yourself. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Absolutely.
And how'd you get to the Qi2 Elements?
Sure thing. So I grew up in Houston, born and raised here. Just love the city, love everything about it.
What part of H-Town?
So I grew up close to Gessner and Memorial City.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah, I was about 5 minutes away from Memorial City Mall. Went to Memorial High School.
All right. Okay.
Decided to go on to Baylor University. Really kind of fell in love with the supply chain process and process improvement. And while I was there, I decided might as well get a marketing degree as well. So
okay.
So I kind of had a little of both.
So wait, what brought you over to the supply chain side?
Yeah, you know, I was my father-in-law was an accountant. He kept saying, you know, hey, you know, get a skill, you know.
Yep. You need a skill. Yep.
Yeah, get a skill. So he was like, do accounting. I took 2 semesters of accounting. I hated it.
Dude, my dad was an accountant too, and he used to get so pissed at me if I didn't understand the that assets equal liabilities and owner equity. He's like, it's like I should have known that. I'm like, dude, I'm 18 years old. I'm not trying to learn about assets and liability, owner equity. But anyway, yeah. So go on.
Yeah. So I had lunch with a buddy of mine, and I said, well, what the hell are you doing? And he said, I'm doing distribution management and technology. And I was like, what the heck is that? And he was like, it's a simple way, it's a technical way of saying supply chain.
Okay.
So I was like, so I took, you know, I went over there, kind of explained myself, applied, and they let me in. I really kind of fell in love with the whole taking something from A to Z, finding out how to make it better from the supply chain side. And yeah, just
so supply chain and marketing,
pretty much.
Double major.
Did it in 4 years too. My parents were pretty proud of that.
That's actually kind of unheard of. So after that, first job out of college, what was that all about?
So I was kind of looking around for a job, trying to figure out, you know, what I want to do.
What did you want to do?
Initially, you know, I wanted to come back to Houston. So I was like, more than likely, it's either going to be in healthcare or oil and gas.
What? Okay, why those two?
Just kind of based on Houston's economy. So I figured, you know, I just started applying. I applied to everywhere. And then I had lunch with this one gentleman, Kyle Johnson, I believe was his name. He worked at HMT.
Yeah.
And he said, I think you'd be a great candidate for our manager and training program.
Okay.
So, you know, I was engaged at the time. I proposed before I had a job. In retrospect, probably not the best way to go. But
is there ever really a right time? I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is a right time. But yeah, okay.
So I applied, and the week of Easter, they said come down for your second interview. And I interviewed with everyone at HMT. Absolutely, kind of loved. It was a tank business, still is.
Okay.
And I went through 3 rounds of interviews, and then the VP of safety calls me on Good Friday, and he says, just so you know, there'll be a job waiting for you when you graduate. So I was ecstatic about that, and it was...
That takes a lot of worry out of the equation, right? A lot of stress.
Yeah. Like my problems just kind of melted away when just knowing that, you know, I'd have, you know, a job, and it was kind of an entryway into management. And
so that's kind of like that's similar to it's an accelerated management program.
Pretty much, it was a 2-year program where they're like, we're going to expose you to every single aspect of the business.
Yep.
So I graduated, took 2 weeks off to kind of just, you know, I took a little trip to Europe, you know.
I get in, get out of the dorm, get settled in. Yeah,
exactly. So I went to Europe for 2 weeks, came back, just kind of relaxed.
Where'd you go in Europe?
I spent 2 weeks in London.
Okay.
Yeah, which is never enough time in Europe. You need to spend easily a month.
There's not enough time to do it. All right, it's been 5 minutes.
Okay,
so here we
go.
Where
are you going?
It's a speckled one. So it's either dirty dishwater or birthday cake.
I don't know what this one is, but I guess it's probably rotten eggs or something.
That's like either rotten egg or buttered popcorn. So
okay,
down the hatch. Birthday cake.
I'm thinking butter popcorn.
All right. 2 for 2. I'm digging it. Okay.
There we go.
All right. So you spent some time in London, got that out of your system a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Got back here, moved to Houston.
Yep.
Start working. All right.
So I started at HMT. I started in manufacturing, kind of similar to my background. I wanted to see, okay, what does the process look like?
All right.
So I pretty much spent a couple of months in manufacturing, just saying like, okay, how do we manufacture a product that's going to go into an above ground storage tank? And
so this is your first exposure to the industry.
It really was. I would always joke with my boss that I've learned more in 3 months than I did 4 years in college.
Dude, I mean, so when I started off at Noble Drilling, I started off HR temp, then I got an HSC, and I used to go read all those books like offshore drilling, all that stuff. And you know, for 5 years I read these books on kind of like the operations, all that stuff. You know, I'm trying to like self-learn, but I remember going out to the rig for the first time. Oh, that's the monkey board. Oh, that's the PRS system. Oh, that's how this works. I mean, whenever it's hands-on, like in the field, boots on the ground, that to me is when you learn the most. You know what I mean? I mean, it's such a, and that's why it's so crucial these days for the young. I hate being this way, but people to get out to the field and start learning it. Yeah,
exactly. And it's more than just, you know, figuring out, you know, this is what, you know, an internal floating roof looks like, or this is what a seal looks like. It's really, how do you interact with the field people that are, you know, tankies, you know, on, you know, operators on
tankies
rigs.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah,
I like that.
Is
Tankies.
yeah.
Okay.
Tankies.
All right.
And what I really also learned was, yeah, how do you speak to them? Because they're not interested in this whole college language.
No,
you know,
they don't give a shit about that.
Exactly, they don't care about that. They tend to be very blunt with you. They tend to be they never beat around the bush. And it was really refreshing. It was really, because in college you got all these professors. Oh, we got to talk in this soft language. They're like, no, this is what's going on.
Is that actually how it is done in the real world?
Exactly. Yep. This and what I learned was, if you bust your butt and actually put in the time, they will give you the shirt off their back. They're some of the most down to earth people you will ever meet in your life.
Right.
And I really, it was, like I said, it was a great experience just being out there, because right from manufacturing, I went out in the field. I spent like 6 months in the field.
What did you do in the field?
I was building tanks.
Okay.
I was learning how to weld. I was learning, I was putting together internal floating roofs and seals. They pretty much said, here's a vacuum box. Go vacuum box those welds, you know, and I, you know, be with a welder, and he was like, yeah, let me show you how to do it just right on the aluminum. And
so this is pretty much far away from what you learned in college.
Night and day.
Right.
Night and day
right.
of what I learned. But being able to really just, you know, see, like, yeah, this is how long it takes to weld this line of weld rig.
And if you want to do it correctly too.
Exactly.
Right.
Because they showed me, okay, this is what a good weld looks like. This is what a crappy weld looks like.
Yep.
So I still remember some of the welds that they showed me. I was like, and when you have a vacuum box and you push it down, if you see like bubbles, that means it's
a bad weld.
It is. It needs to be rewelded.
Right.
So I got to see all that, and it was just fascinating. It was like.
Did you dig being in the field?
I did.
Yeah.
It's like I said, a whole different experience.
So you're married by then?
I was engaged. My wife, she was still in college, and the thought was, let's work. Let me work. You know, you finish, graduate,
yep.
And then, you know, you come back, find a job, we'll get married, and, you know,
and life goes as planned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I did that for about 6 months. I came back to the engineering side, and I was like, okay, now that you built the tanks, how do you design them? How do you engineer them? So I went through 653 code and 650 code, which is, for those of you who don't know,
I don't know.
It's basically, how do you put together a tank? How do you put together one of those storage tanks? Part of API code, and and kind of having I'm not really an engineer, but, you know, I've had some of the background on the tank. So, you know, they're like, okay, you know, in this section, this is how much weld you needed for this area. This is what your foundation needs to look at like.
So you get out of school to go back to school, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. And again, I was learning, and, you know, I felt kind of like a sponge. It's time. Okay.
All right.
I'm a little nervous about this one. It looks kind of like puke. So.
I don't even know what that is. That's orange. That's either barf or peach. So
let's go peach.
This is booger or juicy pear. So slancha.
Down the hatch.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get hit?
Yeah, I got hit.
Oh. God. Can't wash it down. You gotta finish it. Oh. You gotta finish it. You can't wash it down. Okay. All right, that was a good booger. Did you have barf?
I think so.
Okay, good.
It wasn't good, whatever it was.
Move forward. All right. Okay, so you get to design a tank. You learn how to do that. Okay, go on.
And so I did that for about 3 months. And I decided that, then I went from there, I went to project management, where they're like, okay, you've seen how it's manufactured, you've built a tank, you've designed a tank, now you're going to manage it.
Okay.
So they sent me down to Baytown, where I was put under the wing of a very old, crusty project manager. He'd been in the field for about 30 years. So this guy, he would run rings around the engineers. Like, he knew his stuff. Because
he still probably started doing that since he was like 12 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, he was pretty much, I graduated from high school. I went into the military where I learned how to weld, and then I went to building tanks.
Okay.
So I was like, wow.
So that's definitely someone that you want to learn from.
I was like, I'm going to shut up and I'm just going to, listen to you.
Right.
Whatever you need me to do, I'm going to do. So he's like, okay, you're going to manage, but I'm going to send you back into the field again. I'm like, all right, let's go for it. Let's do it. So I went down to the Galveston Bay Refinery Marathon down there and basically helped repair a tank. Big old boy in the heat of summer. It was a great time. It was, looking back, it was a good time.
I mean, always when you're in the middle of that, you're like, shit, this sucks. Like, God, I'm hot. But like, whenever you look back on something you actually put that much work in, like literally blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, it's definitely rewarding. I mean, it's definitely look back with fond memories versus like, get me out of here.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it was, again, learning from people that have been doing this for 30 years, the people in the field, and kind of going back to, like, they'll give you the shirt off their back. I remember one time that I forgot my lunch, because we'd have to be there at 5 a.m.
Right.
And, I just kind of forgot. So I was like, oh shit, I'm going to go hungry today. And this one guy that I'd been hanging out with, he gave me half of his. So I was
that is
like,
a big deal.
It was. He was like, you're one of us. You're busting your ass down here.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I was at that point, I was like, I finally gained their respect.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. It
was
breaking the sandwich, breaking bread together. Yeah. Okay.
It was. And he was like, you're down here. You're sweating with us. This is yours.
So how did this trainee program under this gritty guy that's been doing it his whole life, you going back to the field, how did you end up at Q2?
So I went, once I graduated through the program, my last stop was inspection. Okay. And basically, once you build the tank and it's been in service for, 5, 10, 20 years, it has to be inspected to make sure that it's living up to its mechanical integrity and code-wise. So I spent some time in inspection and kind of learned, okay, you've been through all this, your last stop's an inspection. So I did that for, I want to say, about 2 months, and the general manager calls me into his office and he said, I've got an area that I want you to explore. It's called our in-plant inspectors, which is basically, we send guys out in there, normally they're API 653 inspectors, and they make sure that, the tank's still standing. Is it time?
It's time.
All right.
Okay, this is either dead fish or strawberry banana smoothie.
What about?
I don't know what red is. I tore it off, so I don't know. So it's a blind test. So cheers.
Cheers. Down the hatch.
Oh my God. Okay, this is dead fish. Gotta chew it.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Oh, God, it gets worse.
Yeah, I know.
It gets worse.
That's what I was thinking.
It's thick as like it's stuck in your teeth. Ugh.
Jeez.
Okay. Oh my God. Ugh. Okay. So Okay. So go on.
So I was managing in-plant inspectors and did that for about 2 years, traveled all over the country, just trying.
That's
to
pretty
figure-
cool experience, though.
Oh, it was great. I got to see I got to see the West Coast, East Coast. Yeah, places I'd probably never go if it wasn't
for work.
Yeah, it wasn't on the job. And I did that for about 2.5 years. Wanted to go into kind of the engineering side of things.
Why? So wait, so you go to college for marketing, you go to college for supply chain,
Yeah.
you start working on tanks, you start learning how to weld, and you start learning how to build them, and now you're kind of like want to graduate to the engineer side. What was that kind of motivation?
Well, I had lunch with this one guy at Audubon and wanted to, and he was saying, like, I've got this area of the business that I want to grow as well, kind of similar to what you're doing in plant people that are going to stay in the plants, and they're going to do the engineering, a lot of FEL and front end loading and feed, which is studies or whatnot.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything with mechanical integrity. And it just kind of intrigued me, and I was like, it's kind of a step up. So let me kind of see what this is about. So I went over there, and I actually didn't really like the engineering as much as the tanks, and I was kind of like, I kind of want to get back.
Okay.
So I was looking for, I've got an aftertaste.
So bad. All right. Okay, so you're back. You're going back.
Yeah. So I was looking around, and one of my colleagues on Qi2 posted that they're looking for a Gulf Coast business development manager.
Okay.
And I've got all these contacts. I know tanks. Let's see if this is the right opportunity.
So this is the first opportunity you've had to be in biz development or sales or anything that deals with kind of one-on-ones with the end user, the customer.
I had a lot of sales experience where you're dealing with clients, but never like this was your primary job.
Yeah.
Primarily, I was a manager,
Yeah.
but I would sell, I would recruit, and then I would manage.
Okay.
Kind of in that order, but not on a 653 inspection type. It was more of let's sell these on-site positions, and we'll recruit the people, we'll sell the position, we'll recruit the person, and then once we put them in, we'll manage them on kind of a day-to-day. And I was like, I don't really like the management side. I like the
customer interaction side.
Customer interaction.
I get it.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Let's get it. I like getting in front of people.
Yeah.
I like taking them out to dinner. I like taking them out to drinks.
You like dinner. You like not only the entertainment side, but also establishing that personal relationship, establishing that friendship with them. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm the same way. I call them frustomers. Friends that are customers.
I like that. So I was looking to get into that, and Qi2 popped up. So I sent in my resume. I'm like, let's see what happens.
What's the worst they can say? No.
Exactly. That's kind of what I say when you're doing cold calls. Worst they can say is no.
You gotta get used to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I get an email from my boss now, and he said, let's set up a call. So we chatted. We hit it off really well. He's like, okay, why don't you come in for an interview? And so I'm like, okay. It was during COVID, so I was like, I'm probably going to be wearing a mask. He's like, I am too. So we go in. We have, I want to say, like probably 45 minutes to an hour conversation. I thought we really hit it off. But I remember I came back. I was talking to my wife. I'm like, I think I did well. I just don't know because I couldn't read his facial expression. So I was like,
I'm not sure if he was smiling or spitting the whole time.
Exactly. So I was like, I think it went well. I just don't know because I couldn't see his face. Is it time again?
Dude, yeah. I mean, it's 2:25. We've been talking for 25. We're doing these every 5 minutes. So,
all right.
What do you got? You got either rotten egg or buttered popcorn, and I got the dirty dishwater or birthday.
Okay, let's hope butter.
All right. I got dirty dishwater.
I think I got popcorn.
Good for you. Good.
Yeah.
This does taste like dirty dishwater.
Oh.
God. What a great idea you had. Anyway. So So you go back. You're not sure if you got it. Can't read the guy's facial expressions. Okay. So you end up getting it, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So he calls me back and he's like, you know, I really like, you know, what you've done, and you know, I like to, you know, talking to you and whatnot. Our CEO wants to have one last call with you. I'm like, okay,
All right.
why not? So I get on. I get on. You all right?
I'm fine, man. I'm fine. Come on, keep going. Keep
Yeah.
going.
So I have I do, I think, a 30-minute call with the CEO, and he was like, yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
So my boss calls me up and he says, yeah, let's he really liked you. I really want to bring you on the team. So I think it was 4th of July. He sent me over signing papers, and I started, I think, on July 7th of 2020.
So that aftertaste is hit.
I know,
Hold on.
right?
So, going up is a lot worse.
It's even worse with coffee.
So you start a business develop your first business development role 3 months into COVID, 3 months into this pandemic, the shutdown, the lockdown, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I want to hear about that real quick, and then I want to hear about Qi2, kind of, because that's kind of where we want to learn about you, we want to learn about Qi2, and then how people can contact you. So,
Sure.
How was that, I guess, going into business development, your first business development role 3 months into lockdown?
I'll tell you this, it was an education for me, because how do you market and how do you sell when you can't really meet? Because everyone was like, call me up, but you can't come to corporate, you can't come. I'm like, okay, so
and if you call them, I mean, chances are they're not picking up the phone.
Exactly. So it was, I would do hundreds of cold calls.
Right.
I would do cold calling. I would request Microsoft Teams meetings. I mean, pretty much anyone who would listen.
Right.
I was like, let me do a presentation. You can stay there. I'll stay here. We'll do a Microsoft Teams.
So what was that reception for you?
It was interesting, because there were quite a few that accepted. They were like, I know you from there. Let's do it. Again, they're like, I like you. You just can't come. I'm like, okay, that's fine. As long as you're willing to listen, let me sell. So there were a lot of Microsoft Teams meetings, lots of cold calls. I would, a lot of weeks, I would probably call close to 100 people a week, just trying, like, whoever would pick up.
At that point, you're just looking for some attention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Who's going to pick up, and how, first of all, do you have a need? Do you have a need? Do you like, do you like who you're using, or is there a need right now? Is there a need that I can help with? Because at the end of the day, that's what sales is. Good sales guys look for needs. There, my father-in-law, who also is a sales guy, he's like, never show up and throw up.
Never what?
Show up and throw up. Never do that. Never show up and just start pushing.
Okay. I like that. Show up and throw up. Dig that.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to, did you ever see the movie Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and at the end of it, the real Jordan Belfort is actually the one introducing Leonardo DiCaprio. And Leonardo famously says, "Sell me this pen."
Yeah.
He goes to all of them, and none of them can do it. So the real guy goes on Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan says, "Sell me this pen." And Jordan says, "Okay, I'm going to give you a little sales training right here." He's like, "Well, the first thing I would ask you is, well, how long have you been in the market for a pen?" He said, "You see what I'm doing? I'm trying to figure out, do you need this pen?"
Okay.
And he and Piers like, "Well, I like a rolling rider." It's like, "Okay, great. Just going in. What do you need? What do you like? What?"
So you're learning. So I mean, that's a great. First off, it's a great movie, but you're kind of learning. You're diving into kind of like, not just do you need a pen, but is there a need for it? But what kind of pen do you like? What's your style? Blue, black. Like, you're trying to figure out if there really is a need or a want, or what they're kind of dealing with, challenge with. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And one of the things that he would say if they don't need it, he's like, "Well, are you going to need a pen in 6 months?" He's like, "No." well, then have a nice day. I'm going to go find someone who wants to buy a pen.
Yeah.
And really that's kind of what sales is. Talk about what they need. Well, what are some of the problems they're having, and how can you be a solution?
I love that. That's pretty much the nail on the head. I dig that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and that's so I was doing that, trying to get traction, and I remember that some weeks I would just be frustrated because I'm like, no one's picking up.
Well, dude, I feel like a lot of people, whether you're a sales or engineer, whatever you are in this industry, shit, anything, it's like you can be doing like, it gets monotonous. It gets to be a grind. It stops being exciting. It stops being fun. I completely know what you're talking about. I think a lot of people know what you're talking about when you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Is it time?
God, yes. I'm really scared of the brown ones, so I'm gonna go with the blue one.
Yeah, I had luck with a red one, so I think I'm going back to a red one.
All right, toothpaste or berry blue? I'll do toothpaste any day. After eating that before, cheers.
Cheers. Nope. Ugh.
It's toothpaste, but I'll do toothpaste any day. I'm okay. What's that? What do you taste?
I don't know, but it's disgusting.
I know there's dead fish in one of them.
It might be dead fish.
This is toothpaste. 20 times better than anyone else I had. Okay, I'll do that. All right.
Okay, just swallowed, so
I'm fine with
take
this.
them water.
It's a nice coat. All right. So you're at QI2, calling people, obviously getting frustrated. Obviously, it's just, not many people wanted to talk back then.
Yeah.
So here you are. So go on.
Yeah. So, and I was kind of like, okay, let's do a couple of things. For one, let me reach out to some of my old contacts. Let me, because I'm cold calling complete strangers.
Yep.
But let me also reach out to some of my old contacts. So there was this one guy who actually I managed, and he went over to one of my biggest clients. So I was like, well, let's talk. So I kind of explained, kind of what QI2 does from an inspection standpoint, and he was like, I like you. Let me give you a try. He's like, so he gave me this big tank.
Is that your first sale?
It was my first sale.
How'd that feel?
It felt incredible.
I love that.
It's kind of like that adrenaline rush.
Yes.
Yeah. It was
like all those dead ends. Finally, I got something.
Yeah. It was like finally this hard work has paid off. So I get the sale. I write it all up. I turn in the paperwork. We go do it. We knock it out of the park. And he starts giving the word of mouth to around that company.
I dig it.
That we, what we did. And I guess that was kind of the snowball that really kind of propelled me to, this is who we are.
The easiest sale I've always found is when a customer sells for you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
When your product, your service is good enough to the point where they're bringing it up around their friends, their colleagues, and their fellow engineers, whoever the customer is. Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah. So that was that happened Labor Day, and it must have been luck of the gods or whatnot, because I kept getting traction.
I love that, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And I kept, and I kept picking up some customers, doing the cold calls, doing. I think I called this one guy, and I think I had to call, and he was one of the big wigs. He said, okay, you actually need to talk to this guy. And he gave me his number. I was like, that never happened. So, okay. So then I call him. He's like, you actually need to talk to this guy. He gives me his number. I'm like, okay, we're
playing this game.
Yeah. This, I feel like I'm in the Wild West, and I just keep, getting it right. So I call him, and we start talking. And he was like, oh, I get a ton of these a day. I'm like, and kind of going back to needs based, I'm like, well, what are your needs right now? How can I help you? He's like, well, one of the big problems I have are getting our reports on time. So one of the things about kind of the whole tank process of when you have a tank that needs a 10-year interval, which means you inspect it every 10 years.
Okay.
So what happens in that? The tank needs to be cleaned for an out of service inspection. And then we would come in as an inspection company for these tanks. We would have a scanner where we would scan the floor. We'll take pictures, take UT readings on the shell, which is the wall of the tank. If there's a internal floating roof with a seal, we would take a look at that. And then once it's inspected, you need to generate a report.
Yeah.
So that they can say, okay, this is what we found. And one of the great things about our report is we have recommendations, considerations, and observations.
Okay.
Which means that the recommendations, this is what
you probably need to get this fixed.
Yes, if because this is really out of code. This needs to be fixed fast.
Right.
The considerations are, it would be nice, but you don't have to. And the observations was, hey, we just noticed this.
Probably should move in this over here or whatever that looks like. Yeah, okay, all right.
Exactly. So one of the things that this guy was saying was, I'm having a hard time getting reports. It's, I guess his current supplier, it's not getting them fast. I'm like, well, let me tell you this. We generate a preliminary report upon completion of inspection, which means that we use everything on a digital tablet. Once we finish the inspection, we hit a button and it goes right to you.
So that fixes that problem right there.
Yeah, and the thing about internal reports, since right after you inspect it, you're probably going to have to repair it. So you need that final copy fast. Okay. So we have a 3-day turnaround. So which is not.
That's pretty quick for a report these days.
Yeah. And then you send it to them. They have a repair contractor that comes in, does the repairs based on recommendations or whatnot, and then we also offer a post inspection, which means that we'll come back to and we have a checklist, make sure like, hey, you did this, you did that, we're good.
So let's have another one, and then I want to dive into QI2 because we heard about you. Now let's hear about the company a little bit. All right, red. Good. I got one. I got what you got. The red one.
Oh, yikes!
You got the.
I don't know what this one is. Let's see here.
I have no idea, but that's probably up in this area, the unknown area. We don't even know. All right, here we go. Oh. It's just so bad.
Yeah.
So it's like it just stays right here.
Yeah, that after bite is. Ugh.
Oh. All right. So.
Yeah.
Like it's worse. The more you chew it, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like the flavors get stronger. It's disgusting. They get stuck in your teeth. You got to taste it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Great idea, Brian. Anyway. First off, I got to say you're brave to be doing this for the first preliminary guest making history on coffee and beans. But
I would say I'm honored to be the first. But
I don't know, man. I don't know. I got to rethink this whole thing. Maybe I just need to do dummy jelly beans for me and bad ones for the guest. All right, QI2. Who's your customer for QI2? Like, who do you call on? What companies you call on?
So primarily midstream and downstream companies. So your Magellans, your Energy Transfers, your Genesis.
Okay.
That's pretty much any company that would have above ground storage tanks. As many of y'all know, like when you're transporting oil from upstream all the way to downstream, it doesn't go straight to the refinery. A lot of times it'll go to midstream.
Right.
So, and in these midstreams, you have, where you're going to store the oil, a lot of these tanks and whatnot. So those are our primary customers. We do, because I know in upstream, y'all do also have tanks, but
y'all's are on a different level.
Exactly.
Y'all do. So, okay. So what does QI2 do? Obviously, you do inspections of tanks, but once you get into that kind of a little bit, because obviously it's your bread and butter.
So we like to say we're a technology company that does inspections.
Okay.
So one of the main things that we try to do is make sure that we're thinking ahead of the curve. So I'm thinking about not where tank inspections are going to be a year from now. I'm thinking about where they're going to be 10 years from now, where they're going to be 20 years from now. And what you find is a lot of times it's going to, I see digitalization and robotics.
You see that upstream side too right now.
Yeah, and that's really where I think the future is, and we're trying to capitalize on.
Okay.
That. So a lot of times, companies, because it takes a lot of work to take a tank out of service, drain it, cart that,
scrape it. Yeah.
So having robotic capabilities to come in and do an inspection inside a tank is something that people are interested in. Is that
because you don't have to drain the tank and all that stuff? Okay.
Yeah, and it's a lot cheaper to do it from a robotic inspection to come in.
All right.
Dealing with that afterbite, huh?
No, it just hits. It's like you burp it up and it just comes back. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. And that's some of the technology that we're developing and whatnot.
What is that? Is that sonar? Is that what is that frequency? How do you do that with the rope?
Yes. So a lot of what it is you attach sensors on and you kind of have a computer and whatnot, and you go in and it swims through product and whatnot, and goes on the bottom and takes measurements and whatnot.
So that's I guess the technology side of it.
That's the technology side, as is kind of our app-based technology, like the preliminary report of digitally, once we finish, we hit a button and it goes off.
Did you take leaps and bounds on the digital automation side, the robotic side during the downturn? Because I saw a lot of companies kind of evolve. During the quarantine, during the downturn, during the pandemic lockdown. Some companies really started evolving when it came to the digitalization, when it came to the technology, really kind of putting all their eggs in one basket on that side, and it's paid off for them. Do you think y'all did that kind of before, or was that what was the process?
And that really was kind of what we did. We were thinking, okay, yeah, this is where we really need to get our technology figured out. This is where we need to really get a leap ahead of the curve. Okay. And you're exactly right. A lot of companies, you either need to evolve, or unfortunately, you're going to die.
Do a lot of tank, and I don't know much about the tank inspection market, but do a lot of companies the tank inspection market? Are you finding them kind of lean in towards the technology side, or is that just kind of one of the things that y'all are doing to stand out?
I really think that a lot of companies do want to see how can you make it better,
right?
And technology really enhances that,
right?
Technology, if you can eliminate costs by using technological advancements, of course, who wouldn't want to do that?
Right.
Who wouldn't want to save money? To do it smarter, do
it
safer,
and quicker.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's kind of what we're really coming into, really doubling down on how can we make it, those three things, smarter, quicker, faster, safer. Yeah.
All right. So y'all inspect those big above ground storage tanks. What else? What other things do y'all kind of get into and inspect?
We do vessels as well. We do some pipeline inspection.
Okay.
We also do engineering. So we've had a lot of clients come to us and say, like, okay, all my tanks are in this area, which is called the dike area, which it's a bunch of earth that's built around the tank. So if there is a catastrophic failure to your tank, the product will stay inside there and not contaminate the environment.
I get it.
Smart, so that the EPA won't be down your throat. And a lot of our clients are saying, okay, can you come in and make sure that we have enough built up earth so that if there is catastrophic failure, it's not going to spill out.
Okay. All right.
And contaminate the environment. So, and a lot of clients are saying, like, how can we improve it from an engineering standpoint? So go in, inspect, and then they'll say, like, hey, we want to change this to our facility, and I'm like, okay, let's talk about it with our engineers. Let's figure out, let's get a game plan going, and just figuring out how can we improve this to make it that much more efficient for y'all.
So what makes, let's do this real quick.
I'm not looking forward to this one. This
By the way, for the record, I counted 10 on my plate, and I'm looking over. He's only got 2 left, not including the one in his hand. So I think I'm fine with stopping at 9. Okay, I'm fine with stopping at 9.
Yeah.
All right, this was a little brown bear, so it's probably barf. Knowing my look.
This is like a greenish yellow. So
let's do this. Down the hatch.
Down the
Cheers,
hatch,
buddy. It's barf. Ugh.
Actually, I think this is lime.
This is either dog shit or barf. My wife's tuning in right now. She first wrote ha 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 ha. Now it's ha 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 ha. All right, thanks, babe. What am I eating? You're cooking? No, I'm kidding. I love you. Phenomenal cook, by the way. Kidding. Okay. So what? Two questions.
Sure.
That is so foul, by the way, bro.
Yeah.
That is so disgusting. It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's not even like it's at first like it's a great idea. Now it's like what did I get myself into? It's horrible. All right. So QI2, what separates y'all from the rest?
I would say primarily our report.
Okay.
Our report is phenomenal.
Is it is it the turnaround of the report or is the detail, the breadth and depth? What?
So it's both. So we for your out of service inspections, we get it to you within 3 days.
Okay.
For your in service inspections, we get it in about 7 to 10 business days, give or take.
I would assume for reporting, I mean, I would assume turnaround has to be key because just like a house inspection, you know what I mean? You don't want to be waiting there for 3 weeks for it to get back to tell you what's wrong with the house because you need that information quick so you make a decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, you're exactly right, and that's and we really made that a priority. I'm having a little after.
It's so bad. All right. Okay.
And that's one of the main things that I think really does kind of separate us, our turnaround time and the report. So one of the ways that a lot of your midstream companies are regulated that move these chemicals and refined products or
right.
oil just in general, they're governed by PHMSA, which is a government agency that really kind of monitors, okay, is your tank up to spec?
Right.
Is your pipeline up to spec?
No, I'm pretty sure those are pretty huge fines for companies if they're not.
I always tell people if your product fails, it's not if you're going to pay, it's how much.
Yeah.
And what you need to do is make sure that your fecal matter is in order. And basically, everything that we can do to protect ourselves from liability, we need to do it.
Okay.
We need, and because, if the EPA and OSHA show up after you've had a big...
That's not good for anybody.
Yeah, it's not good.
You talk about things rolling downhill. That'll hit them, that'll hit you, that'll hit everyone, that'll hit the community. It goes everywhere.
Yeah. And really what I figured out, a lot of these companies, they don't want that because a lot of them don't want, for one, they lose a lot of money when that happens. It's really bad publicity. And a lot of these companies, they don't want it. They don't want their product,
No.
out. Yeah.
No.
Nobody wants that. So, when you have PHMSA coming in and monitoring that, you want to make sure that your report is up to PHMSA standard. So PHMSA can easily say, okay, here's your report. This is what was recommended. Did you do it? Yes. Great. Okay. That works. And I would say our report is PHMSA tailored. We have had people that for one of my clients actually said that this is how I kind of showed him the report and he's saying, can we change this? PHMSA wants it this way or PHMSA wants it that way. I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would say that's probably one of the big competitive advantages that we have is making sure that your report will pass PHMSA if you follow the recommendations.
So number one, it's the in depth of the surveys. It's getting the turnaround time on the report and getting the right information in the report on how they would like it. Right. Okay. All right. I dig it. So I forgot my other question, but I think it probably had to do something with what do you enjoy most about working with QI2?
Yeah, I worked for a lot of medium to large size companies, and QI2 was really a startup. And
Okay.
I love the startup mentality.
Isn't it fun?
I
It's like
absolutely,
everyone wears different hats. Like it's just like everyone's on the same. I don't care how it gets done. We're all going this direction. Yeah.
well, and that's really what I love. There are levels of bureaucracy, and anyone who's worked for a big company knows
Oh, you got
that.
to deal with that corporate.
Yeah, it's like there's so many
Political
levels. Yeah,
bullshit.
and you have to have all those meetings to talk about meetings. And I'm like, yeah,
I know.
everyone has had those, and that's why I love working for a startup, because you really it really is go get it.
Yeah.
Don't focus on
We don't need 15 chains of command of approval. Just get it done.
Exactly, and that's what I really love about the startup. And there's an energy to a startup that if you ever worked for a startup, you really know that there's that energy, there's that exhilaration.
That's right.
When really taking it to the next level.
And honestly, hats off to them too. I mean, for the fact that they're bringing someone on the beginning of COVID and lockdowns and all that stuff, and they're bringing on a new business development manager for the Gulf Coast. I mean, it sounds to me that they knew that they had the right person, whether you had the experience or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're trying to get the right people on the bus.
What I kind of learned, and this is two things that I've kind of focused on, especially when it comes to sales and maybe even success in general, but two things that I really focus on and two things that I think really will lead to your success are properly channeled aggression and not being afraid to fail.
Okay, well, let's have another jelly bean. I want to talk about the properly channeled aggression, because look,
Sure.
We got two more left, and then let's get people how they can contact you. But let's talk about these two little key things you brought up. All right, this is red.
This is brown.
Ooh.
Yeah, I am dreading this one.
Do not want to be in your shoes. Right? Wait, you want me to do the brown too? I'll do the brown. I'll do it with you. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Dude. We're like 80% of these disgusting. Oh, God. Okay. Throw it front. Okay. Okay. All right. Properly channeled aggression.
Yeah.
Talk to me. We get a lot of anger right now from eating disgusting tasting jelly beans. What are you doing with it? How do you properly channel that aggression?
Sure. And I really look to someone like Elon Musk, who says that he pretty much devotes every waking hour to creating a successful product.
Okay.
And that's kind of what the properly channeled aggression I'm talking. And anyone who's been in sales knows that you have to kind of have that hunger, that aggression to constantly pick up the phone and a lot of times being told no.
Yeah.
But that properly channeled aggression allows you to push forward. It allows you to, yes, that I had 10 phone calls, all of them said no, but I'm going to keep going.
Kind of like what you did. You said you did several hundred cold calls or 100 cold calls, and all it took was one to get that spark, to get the momentum.
Exactly.
So don't use no or door closed, not just in sales, but in life. Don't view that as a reason to stop.
Hey, I could not agree more.
Turn that into something to keep going.
Well, and use that as your fuel.
Yeah.
Use that. I think we might have a tendency now, if we fail once, give up.
I tried.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that also goes into the not being afraid to fail. And I think if one of the curses maybe of the millennial generation is everyone got a trophy.
Yeah.
No one knew growing up how to fail.
Yeah.
And what you find in life, you're going to fail a lot.
And it's okay to fail.
It is okay. It's expected. But you learn from a young age how to fail.
Yeah.
And that is so necessary. That's why I've told my wife, our daughter is never going to get a trophy unless she earns it.
Man, I mean, my wife and I, we tell our daughter that it's like, we want you to fail. We expect you to fail. I don't give a shit how many times you fail. But the thing is, though, if you do fail, it's what have you learned from that? Like, are you not going to pour the milk that high in the glass again? You're not going to take 2 trips instead of 1 trip trying to carry everything before you drop. So it's not a question of messing up. I expect you to mess up. You're human. I expect you to fail. You're human. But you're right. It's what do you learn from that? Like, do you know not to run around up the stairs with socks now? Because you busted your ass.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. No. That's a great way of saying it, because it really is that. Yeah. Well, what do you learn from it, and how can you make it better?
Yeah.
And that's really kind of the not being afraid to fail that is really almost being lost. And I think that we need to bring that back. It's okay. Like one of my mentors once said, the A students usually will work for the D students, because the D students have failed so much, they're used to it, but they've channeled it.
They don't give a shit. They just keep going forward.
They just keep going.
Yep.
They don't care. They don't give up, and they keep going. And they're the ones that donate the buildings at the colleges.
Yeah,
because they're the ones that become billionaires.
I like that. I got through that. All right. So wrapping up now. We're coming up on an hour right now. Let's finish the last. Oh boy, Bamboozled Bean, and why don't you let us know how people can kind of ping you, reach out to you, or any last minute thoughts that you kind of want to chime in right now, leave your worldly knowledge on. But cheers. God, dirty dishwater. Dirty dishwater.
From the after, I can't tell from the after. I think it was buttered popcorn, but I still have the aftertaste from all these bad ones. It's kind of like.
Well, this is like the worst bag ever. It's like bullshit. It's not half and half. It's like 70-30. It's horrible. Oh, okay. So, how come? How can people get in touch with you? Final thoughts of wisdom? Any other thoughts you got on anything?
Sure. Well, I'll leave my email and contact information with your.
We'll post on Connection Crew's site. You can just put it on the comments down there.
Sounds great. And LinkedIn. I'm always checking LinkedIn. So if you want to reach out to me on there, you can.
Give us some words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom.
Crack us some. Make us a knowledge omelet. Crack some eggs of wisdom.
Well, yeah, I would say, channel your aggression, hone it, develop a skill, and don't be afraid to fail.
I like that, man. I mean, my daughter had her first basketball game a couple weeks ago. She got all teary-eyed and all that stuff, and went over there. I'm like, hey, your job right now is not to make every basket, to dribble when you're walking on it. Your job is to play a game. That's it. I don't give a shit how good you do. I don't give a shit how bad the team does. Your job is to play a game. That's it. Don't take it so serious. It's okay if you mess up because you're learning. Yeah, I dig that. So, yeah. Well, Brian, I want to thank you for being brave. I want to thank you for being the first inaugural guest of Coffee and Beans. Again, this is for service companies, for tech companies, for startups, or whoever wants to get on and kind of chit chat about kind of who they are or what they do. And I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you being brave with this and failing on some horrible jelly beans.
Well, I really appreciate you having me. I bet you next time, no jelly beans, right?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think this kind of that's the point. You got to try new stuff out there in this world. I think we're inundated with all these other live stream and all that stuff. So let's change it up. Let's get uncomfortable.
I would say I had coffee with the jelly beans. Not the best combo.
Well, look, now we know, and I appreciate you coming on, brother. And I will. We got my wife. Great job, y'all. Thanks, babe. I appreciate you tuning in. And I guess I will see you shortly. And I guess thank you everyone for tuning in to this the first Coffee and Beans. We hope you enjoy. We hope you learned something too about a little Qi2, about the life of Brian, and kind of not accepting handouts, getting after it,
Go get them.
We'll talk to everyone a little bit, and thanks for tuning in.